Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's a very sunny Thursday at almost the end of February. And so I thought I'd do some kind of review of February and talk about what I'd been reading, mostly what I'd been reading. And doing this month, I'm just going to have a look in my chintzy diary that I got for cheap at TK Maxx. It's such a chintzy diary. But it's got lots of space for writing in, and sometimes quite nice photos. But it is a bit naff. Just looking at this, February has gone by in an absolute flash. It's always, excuse me, a short month. It's the dust from the books. And I see that just before the month began, we had our day out in Liverpool and Wallasey. So that was the very end of January. And that seems just like minutes ago. Mostly in February, I was working on this memoir thing that I'm writing about teaching creative writing, about my time at the University of East Anglia, which reached a certain point in the first draft before I had to go away on this American trip. So it's kind of parked at the moment, but it's been the bulk of my work this month, alongside another draft of this thriller that I've been doing. So lots of writing this month, and one thing I never really mention is my journal. The way, come on, Socks! He's shouting in the hallway. Have you heard that? And I realise there's an awful lot. Oh, come on, Noisy! An awful lot of journal writing. I kind of novelise my life. I described it yesterday. That's where February begins in this particular book from the British Museum. And it was a present from my friend Deborah. There's all of that for February, and beginning this Transformers book as well. And there's a bunch of pages there. So I've obviously had a lot to say for myself in private about what I really think about what's going on in my life. It's a really good habit to be in, to be somebody who keeps a journal. And I've done it really since I was about 11, with a couple of years off and months off here and there. But mostly I write down everything that happens to me. Mostly it's conversations, snippets, overheard things, the way other people carry on. Here's Socks. And I just about filled this drawing book as well. When I was in LA, as I showed you the other day, it's filled with my lurid watercolours. So that feels like a nice thing to have. I've battered the hell out of this, though, carrying it about. And each of these drawings in here have become the basis of a digital painting, where I take a photo, put it through Procreate, and paint over the top and scrape away layers of acrylic paint, digital acrylic paint, which is just bliss to do. And you get these very lurid paintings, which is my favourite thing. Things going on in February. The first weekend was when we had Stuart visiting, and we went to the John Nathan Turner Day at the Burgess Foundation and saw you and him and me. I keep getting the name of the play wrong, but Stephen Wyatt's play, and the lovely evening out afterwards. And that weekend was, whoops, here he comes, was was great fun. Let's see, and then I had a week, and then we were off to California, where we had a week. And so that was over half the month gone already. And we've been back a week and a bit, not quite a week and a half, of getting back into work. So you see, the month has just shot by with lots going on, which is the best way. February, I think, is a tough month, almost as tough as January to get through. Although here it's been quite bright and sunny. It certainly was in California. So it hasn't been as dismal as it can be. I think February's quite hard, and I take vitamin D to make sure I don't get sad. And of course, I've got socks to cheer me up. Chin, chin, chin. He loves having his chin rubbed like that. Look at you, you're a little framing device for the film. Very clever, Socky. Now, books this month. I haven't read as much as usual. This is my entire month, which is interesting. In Los Angeles, I didn't read much at all. I was too busy doing stuff and talking to people and drawing and having adventures. And it reminded me of when we went on a writer's retreat years ago, a whole bunch of us, and we were supposed to be writing and working. And of course, I took books with me for the full weekend and didn't read a single word, which was just so unusual. I couldn't stop talking about the fact that I hadn't read on this weekend. And in my journal, I found myself noting this down as it was better than reading. Being with all my friends that particular weekend. And equally, I guess, the same thing happened in Los Angeles. Being with all those people, having all that fun at the convention and in West Hollywood. It was better than reading. How rare that is. And maybe it's the ultimate aim, to find a way of life, a way of being, and a way of having fun that's even better than reading. It sounds almost impossible. The month began with Ziggyology by Simon Goddard, and I've raved about this in several videos before. It's a kind of cultural studies biography about the cultural products that fed into the making of Ziggy Stardust and what the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust was all about. And then my friend Stuart's novel, his second Lowe and Le Breton mystery I read, Death at the Playhouses, which was fantastic and filled with the kind of grimy surface of 1970. The sticky carpets and dreadful food and northern theatres, the shabbiness of murder. And these kind of, they're almost like, who am I thinking of? Characters in H.E. Bates. That's who Stuart's characters remind me of. There's a short story by Bates that we did in a collection. You're right in front, Socks, at O level, called Shot Actress, Full Story. And the world that Bates conjures up in that story is kind of similar to what Stuart's doing here. I wonder if he knows H.E. Bates's stories. I will check that out and find out if he does. And coming back from our trip, I got this Gregory Maguire kids book, beautifully illustrated by David Litchfield, Cress Watercress, which I really liked. A lovely book. So I had a non-fiction rock biography, a murder mystery, a lavish kids book, and then a novel by one of my all-time favourites, if not my favourite novelist, Anne Tyler. And I raved about this yesterday, I know, on here. So I won't talk much about it now, but just the right book at the right time, I think. I find her work very steadying, and it reminds me of what it's all about, being a novelist. And I'm finishing the month with a Doctor Who book, The Gallifrey Chronicles by Lance Parkin, from exactly 20 years ago. This book marked the very end of the wilderness years, which had been going on since 1989 and my final year doing my first degree. All those years without Doctor Who on TV, and all those novels that had come between, almost monthly, constantly, these writers pushing the story on and pushing the envelope in terms of what could be done with Doctor Who stories. And Lance Parkin was a novelist who was there throughout those years, publishing things. And the Gallifrey Chronicles is a very adept, witty, inventive, rounding off of that whole untelevised adventure. And it's amazing that it's 20 years ago, and to go back to it all this time later, and it's just as fresh. So that's a nice way to finish this month. So that's my February, and Bernard Socks has been here helping the whole time. Haven't you, Socks? Tomorrow, hopefully, on the last day of the month, or maybe the day after, I'll do a video and choose a bag of books for March, and I'll let you know what's on my book pile for March. In the meantime, we have to go and get some shopping now. And Socky has got his booster shots at the vets later this afternoon. His annual boosters are always this time of year. We call it the hairdressers, and he's off to the hairdressers for his appointment, where he always gets flattered for the quality of his coat and his keeping his figure. So it's not so traumatic, is it, Socks? That's the rest of our day. I will see you all again quite soon, and I hope that everybody is well. Okay, goodbye. See you again soon.